I'm Ken Boudreau. I'm one of 8 employees that are left here that started in 1979. Currently, I am Senior Director in Production Operations.
Would it be unfair to describe you as the emperor of the library?
I much prefer custodial responsibility for ESPN's assets. We record almost every televised sporting event every day around the world. We protect the history of the company and the history of sports in general.
How many tapes are in here?
About 3 million. It has been said that this is the largest sports media library in the world.
Why is it important to keep all this stuff?
While a tape may sit on a shelf seemingly invaluable, I've answered the question this way, which is, it has no value till it does.
You are looking live.
In its 40 years of existence, ESPN has brought some of the most popular events on the planet to viewers everywhere.
We got ESPN. We got it all, baby.
But of the thousands of live events televised by the network, only one game can lay claim to being first. We would love to show it to you.
Back.
But there's a problem.
The tapes. We have no idea where they are.
How did that happen?
I don't know. I was not working at the tape library. I was a technician running master control.
Well, that's convenient. It's a mystery that spans 4 decades. From a warehouse in central Connecticut to a ball field in suburban Milwaukee. This is the story of ESPN's Game 1.
Yea, verily, a sampler of wonders. Hi, I'm Lee Leonard, welcoming you to Bristol, Connecticut, 110 miles from New York City. Why Bristol? Because here in Bristol is where all the sports action is as of right now.
Those were the first words ever spoken on air at ESPN, which premiered on September 7, 1979. It was also the debut of what would become the network's signature franchise.
All around. George?
Thanks, Lee, and welcome everyone to the ESPN Sports Center. From this very desk, in the coming weeks and months, we'll be filling you in on the pulse of sporting activity, not only around the country, but around the world as well.
While the delivery on camera was smooth and professional, behind the scenes it was anything but.
Chaos, probably the best way to describe it. Lee looked at me and said, "Georgie boy, what did you get me into?" As he looked at a building without any windows on it.
We're working out of a trailer. We had no running plumbing. You actually had to wear a hard hat to go to the commode.
ESPN extends from New York to Los Angeles, from Miami to Point Barrow, and from New England to Texas. Now, I'm still not sure just exactly how it works, but here's a man who can show us. Bill Rasmussen, board chairman of ESPN.
The picture you're watching right now has been taken by a camera sent through some sophisticated equipment to this Earth transmitting station, which in turn feeds a satellite.
When you got to September 7th, what was going through your head?
Hope it all works, I guess. No, we were a bit concerned about the technical capabilities and about the physical building. It was kind of one of those, can you believe we're going to really do this? It was frantic.
We brought a remote truck up behind the studios and punched a hole in the wall, our brand new wall, so that we could run a cable through to run cameras.
There was a wide opening into the woods. And lo and behold, we're sitting on the set, and here comes this little black and white thing around the corner. It was a skunk.
Security guard dived into the skunk and ended up getting sprayed by him, which made it an incredibly rich feeling in the studio.
But the upstart network would soldier on through the premiere of SportsCenter as well as a 30-minute NCAA preview show. Then came the first test of what would become the backbone of ESPN. Live sports. But options were limited.
We couldn't do a live football game. We couldn't do a Major League Baseball game. We couldn't do anything because of contracts. Poker didn't seem to cut it. Table tennis and pool didn't seem to cut it. Have you ever watched Irish hurling? It's not going to excite you.
Enter the American Professional Slow Pitch Softball League, a 12-team outfit dedicated to America's other national pastime.
Softball is one of those rare sports that everybody knows something about. Why? Because we all play it on Sunday when we drink a little beer.
I don't know how that event ended up being first.
I think it was by default.
There's this article about this Entertainment and Sports Programming Network. They didn't even do the initials then. And I get on the phone, we've got some of the best slow pitch players, games are very exciting. Would you be interested? Yeah, we would be.
Live, identifiable sport, interesting people screaming and yelling, and it chewed up airtime. It gave us a reason to run the commercials. You gotta love it.
The deal was set. ESPN would debut with Game 1 of the Slow Pitch Softball World Series.
The Kentucky Bourbons and the Milwaukee Schlitz.
Now let's go to Milwaukee for professional slow pitch softball, the first two games of the Best of 9 championship series between Kentucky and Milwaukee.
And with that, ESPN's video record of its first game ends. For 40 years, it's been missing from the ESPN archives, lost to history. To this day, there's little tangible evidence to suggest the game ever took place. Among the surviving items is this: ESPN's lone copy of its original program guide. Newspaper accounts from the time mentioned the startup sports network as broadcasting the game from here, Jake's Field in Lannon, Wisconsin, just outside Milwaukee. To help paint a picture, we sought out those who were there on September 7th, 1979.
Okay. It was a chilly night, and they had just brought in a lot of lights, so it's brighter.
Lighting was terrible. Infield was terrible. They had areas in the outfield didn't have grass in it.
The anticipation of this matchup was tremendous. Milwaukee and Kentucky were big rivals for a lot of years.
The atmosphere was electric. They were so emotional about the game. Back then, they lived and died this.
I took every game seriously. I prepared myself. I got the right kind of sleep. My wife, she'd be beating on my chest, wanting to have sex. And I said, I got to play ball. I got to play ball later today. That's how intense I was.
So you guys are going to be on this new network called ESPN. What did you know about ESPN?
Not a thing. Not a thing.
Thought it was great. Had no idea what cable television was.
Well, what the hell is cable? People got to pay to get that?
As we continued to interview subjects for our story, memories came flooding back. But one question remained.
Surely a company of this size would not lose their very first live broadcast.
I think I'm more disappointed than anything. It baffles me.
I can't believe they didn't have Chris Berman looking for him.
How sophisticated was the archival system in the ESPN? It's not funny. In the ESPN library.
There was no ESPN library.
You had tapes freaking under the floor. You had tapes under the desk. There were no rules and regulations or processes.
Over the last 4 decades, as ESPN would grow from a tiny startup to a global behemoth, the case of the missing tapes would go cold. But as we investigated over the last several months, chasing down lead after lead, there was finally a breakthrough. Many archivists in the business, TV historians have been searching for these tapes. They've been sitting here in suburban Milwaukee. You've had these in your possession now for 40 years.
Yes, I have.
Can we see the tapes?
Sure. Let's go see them.
Over the past 40 years, the ESPN library has grown from a humble trailer to becoming one of the largest sports video archives in the world. The one item it does not contain: a copy of the first game ever televised on ESPN. Its fate has remained a mystery until now.
Well, I called up ESPN and I told them that I wanted the ESPN tapes.
When is this?
This was probably a month after the World Series. They did send me the tapes, but they charged me $750. I've had them in a special safe down in the basement where I keep them locked up. I don't want anybody touching. No. I mean, they're in a closet. No, they're in a closet.
So we're gonna head down to the archives, John?
That's it.
John Cornick was the owner of the Milwaukee Schlitz back in 1979.
Here's where we keep them stored, right in here.
Just take a moment, out of respect. These are the tapes.
These are the tapes.
This is the whole series?
Yeah.
Wow.
Game 1, number 1.
This is where it all started.
That's where it started.
The first event ever on ESPN, the first tape from the first event.
It's like new.
This is history. Following the historic discovery, John gave us permission to take his tapes back to Bristol to use for this project. When we return, for the first time in 40 years, ESPN's Game 1. It's a mystery that has persisted for 4 decades. the fate of the tapes from ESPN's first live event. But following their historic discovery this summer, the mystery and the wait is over. And now, for the first time in nearly 40 years, ESPN's Game 1.
Good evening to you, everyone, from Jake's Field in Lannon, Wisconsin. I'm Joe Boyle, along with former New York Yankee star John Blanchard, set to bring you all of the action of tonight's American Slow Pitch Professional Softball League World Series. It's a best 5 out of...
But just as the action was getting underway in Wisconsin, back in Bristol, management found itself at odds with the network's biggest sponsor.
The Anheuser-Busch people were there with their beer exclusive, and our first game goes the Kentucky Bourbon versus the Milwaukee Schlitz.
What was Schlitz?
Well, of course, it was the beer that made Milwaukee famous. That was what they told us all the time.
Tonight's game is brought to you by Anheuser-Busch Incorporated of St. Louis.
The Anheuser-Busch people said, "What happened to our beer exclusive?" And somebody in the room said, "It doesn't really matter. Nobody's watching anyhow."
We're just about to get underway with game number 1 in the World Series of American Professional Slow Pitch Softball.
The Milwaukee Schlitz and the Kentucky Bourbons. Two teams, two alcoholic beverages that don't mix well together.
It was fierce. You know, there was a lot of chirping back and forth at each other.
But they all had that little arrogant thing to them.
I expect that out of Wiederman. We did have an arrogance about us.
Well, we were a bunch of beer-drinking, fat old slobs because we were from Milwaukee.
Most people called us rednecks.
I may have said that, yes. I did an interview with the local reporter. Used as a term of endearment, though.
Well, we are from Kentucky.
Milwaukee's about to take the field.
Rick, you personally occupy a very special place in television history.
We're underway with the first pitch of the game. It's a call strike.
Your first pitch in Game 1 is the first athletic thing anyone ever did on ESPN.
Now that you say it that way, I go, wow, look what I started.
Here's Don Reardon. Shot into left center. That's going to drop for a base hit.
Somebody told me it was the first base hit ever on ESPN. I wish they'd given me a car or something for that award, but...
And the first home run?
He drives that one.
That one's gone, Joe.
Back to the fence. He is not going to get it. A home run.
It's softball. They throw it underhand. We're supposed to hit home runs.
You also had the first error on ESPN.
Thanks. You had to go there.
Down the first base line. Picked up there by Grazer. Has trouble. Couldn't find the handle.
Game 1. First game ever on ESPN.
I got shelled.
Rick's a little upset, don't you?
Drives this one down the third base line. Reardon up with it. Long throw. He got him.
In the first game ever on ESPN, the Kentucky Bourbons defeated the Milwaukee Schlitz 15-5.
I thought we hit the hell out of it and beat them up pretty good.
Hey, I'm proud as hell. You're proud as hell that you represented our state and our city and in pro softball, and I think we put a hell of a product out there.
The Bourbons may have won ESPN's Game 1, but the Schlitz would soon have their revenge.
Greg is 1 for 3 tonight. Tries to go up the middle. Weiderman cuts that off. throws to first for the out on Whitlock. Throw to third. Dave Whitlock is out, trying to go to third. And Milwaukee out in the middle of the diamond right now. A very happy group of softball players. They have won the World Championship of the American Professional Slow Pitch Softball League.
The Milwaukee Schlitz won the best-of-9 series 5-3. They were crowned the 1979 Slow Pitch World Series champions.
It was great because we won on their field. Winning on their field, anybody will tell you, it tastes a lot better when you do it that way. The beer tasted a lot better too.
To me, it meant everything because we were the Milwaukee Schlitz with guys that were from Milwaukee.
This is the whole team from 40 years ago. Just sign a ball. So I got a ball from 40 years ago that they already signed. Now I'll have another one. That'll make 2.
We just wanted to beat them. We didn't care. We wanted to show that us little guys here from Milwaukee can play some ball.
For 40 years, ESPN has broadcast some of the biggest sporting events on the planet. But it still all began at a ball field in Lannon, Wisconsin.
I think those guys should be proud. They were the first live thing that we did. And I hope every one of them had at least a hit that night.
Hello.
Hi, is this John?
This is he.
John, this is Ken Boudreau from ESPN. How are you?
Nice to meet you.
While a tape may sit on a shelf seemingly invaluable, I've answered the question this way, which is, it has no value till it does.
I remember one bulldozer happened to hit the damn one commode that they hadn't cleaned out. And it was awful. It was incredibly floral.